Alright, let's make a video on Dogecoin. So I've never made a video on Dogecoin before. I made a bunch of altcoin videos yesterday, so I'm looking for some new altcoins to make videos on today, just because I've basically expanded all of these altcoins yesterday. So I'll be covering some new content on my channel. So let's start off with Dogecoin. Now, my number one thing that I normally do on this channel is fibs, but you can basically see, I mean, there's no real data whatsoever if I'm drawing this fib, because we're not even up to the 236. We're just constantly, like, if I drew it from this low, we've obviously broken below that and invalidated it. We had one low down here in December that we've invalidated, and obviously we've got a new low down here. So I really don't see much value in just showing you that fib and saying that obviously we're below the 236. So the only thing I can really show you is this descending trend line that we're obviously not above, and we are obviously bearish until we do break above the top of this trend line. The 200-day moving average is here. I think if I zoom out, yeah, this coin on Bitfinex won't have a 200 week. Let's see if we can get anything on Bittrex. So okay, this goes back quite far. So if we start off with Bittrex and go from the 200 week moving average. Okay, let's see if we've ever touched on this. So I mean, we used to use this as support quite often. This was fairly well respected here, resistance here before we got above it, broke out of it here. And you can see once we finally did use it as support here, we were off to the races. So I would say that the 200 week is probably a good thing to keep an eye on. If we do come back to the 200 week, it would probably be something like this, which is another 56% drop from where we are now. So there's not really much to see on this chart. If we come over to this chart as well, all I can really do is draw you a micro fib from low to high. And you can see that so far we've backtested the 618. So the number one level to watch, in my opinion, right now is this 618 level, which is at 14. I'd say if we lose 14, this is obviously we're just continuing with these lows. Also, if we just zoom out, really, I mean, I just see so much Ming here. You can see a big M, which we broke down from. If we come over to here, you can see this M pattern. Here we've got another M. So if we draw that again, so it just seems like we're really Ming out in this market. I'm going to remove all these lines, but it does seem very, very bearish to me, at least in the short term. And it's the same for kind of Shiba and that as well. I mean, if we zoom out, all the dog coins are fairly similar. We are just making lower highs at the moment. If we come over to Elon probably looks the most healthy out of all of these coins. It does have a relatively low market cap, and in my opinion, I think Dogelon Mars is a much funnier and catchier name than Shiba Inu and Dogecoin, and it's a much lower market cap. So I'd prefer to hold Dogelon over any of these dog coins, in my personal opinion. But if you were looking for a bounce, we would need to hold the 14. I really kind of don't see us bouncing, but obviously we could bounce and decide that we're going to break out tomorrow. But until we get above this red trend line, roughly at 17, which is about a 20%, 23% if we were going to come up and back test it. That's how far we would need to move up before we could even talk about being micro bullish. And I think the most likely scenario is us back testing these lows at least, and at that point I do believe that we'll probably make new lows. So keep an eye on 8 cents. Also bear in mind there is basically no volume coming in for this coin. Whenever we do have big volume spikes in this downtrend, like here, and here, it does just seem like we go right up to the top of the channel and then come back down. So bear in mind, obviously I'm saying that we would need to get above 17 before you could even consider micro bullish. But if we do just zoom out, you can see that we normally have these big wicks that come out. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do come out, we do something like this and completely fall off the table. So if you did want to long this, I would say you'd want to break above 17, probably get a little bit higher, back test this line and have some strong volume coming in. Right now volume is just bleeding out to the side. There's no volume right now for this coin. The RSI is double topped at 60 and is now heading down. So all in all, for Dogecoin, it does seem quite bearish. I do think, in my opinion, we're going to come down and back test the 11, which from here is another 17% drop, and then we would need to see where we go from there. So let's see if there's anything on the weekly and the monthly before we finish this. On the weekly, red selling volume coming in. RSI seems like it's kind of flatlining around here, so I do think if we drop below the 39, then we're probably going to do something like this, and maybe potentially fall all the way down to somewhere like this before we later on potentially break out in the year. So these are all obviously hypotheticals. If we do come over to the monthly, you can see there isn't even a monthly RSI on here. We do have a slightly green candle right now, but if we do jump over to the Heikin-Ashis, you can just see that it is a straight red downtrend. This is basically an absolute sell fest. I mean, if you look at the monthly sell volume on the Heikin-Ashi candles, it just looks like absolute shit right now. So all in all, I think we're going to be dropping for these dog coins in the next couple of weeks, couple of months, until Bitcoin finally decides whether it's going off to the races or not. So until then, I wouldn't be touching dog coins. Just a note for the side, I do hold a tiny bit of Dogelon Mars. It takes up maybe 2% of my portfolio, less than 2% if I'm including gold and NFTs in my portfolio, which makes up a relatively small amount of my portfolio. So all in all, the dog coins look really bad, but Dogelon Mars probably looks the healthiest out of all of them. So yeah, I wouldn't be trading any dog coins right now. I did make a video on SHIB saying I would potentially be either longing or shorting depending on what happens in this situation here. Obviously this was the 200-day moving average if we move it back, because we're now done with the 200 week on the dog coin. So yeah, that's all I see for Shiba Inu and Dogecoin and Dogelon Mars right now. So once again, thanks for watching my content. None of this is financial advice, and it's all just my opinion on the market. Peace.